Hello, everyone, and welcome once again to the Queen Amina Show. Today is such an exciting day because guess what? We're going to be hearing from someone that has been inside the politics in Nigeria. Been there, done that, experienced it all. So we're going to be talking with our special guest today, a former presidential candidate, Ishola Balogun. And my co-host also is behind the stage. So I'm super excited. We're going to have a fantastic discussion today. And hopefully at the end of this brief discussion with Mr. Ishola, we'll be able to come up with something that will help our listeners today. So without much ado, let me bring up my team for today. Right there. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Queen, for having me on. It's a pleasure and an honor.
Thank you so much. And my co-host, Foxy Mama, Nina Chukweke, welcome.
Thank you so much, Queen. It's always a pleasure to be on your show. Hi, everyone.
Thank you so much. So if you guys just coming on, you know the drill. Share the broadcast. Send in your question. I already received, oh boy, sir, you ready for this one? I've already received about 1 to 3 questions. Thank you so much for sending in your questions. We are going to handle them one at a time as time permits us. So if we can't respond to your question during the broadcast, do not be disturbed. We're going to send it to you via the medium that you had sent it in to us. So keep the question coming, keep the comments coming, keep your suggestions coming, keep your negative ones coming. We love it all. All right, so let's dive right through it. So I think I know you, she knows you. A lot of our audience don't know who you are. So please introduce yourself so that we can establish the fact that you actually know what you're going to be talking about today.
Well, my name is, like you said, my name is Ishola Balogun. I am from Nigeria, from Ondo State. I grew up in Lagos. I moved to the United States in the late 70s. I've continuously resided here. In 2010, I attempted to enter the 2011 election, but didn't find the terrain very interesting. And then I wanted to try again in 2015, but I saw that President Buhari at that time, whom I thought his antecedents were good for the country, a disciplinarian, somebody that's been in government before, that I thought, okay, maybe we don't need to try this now. But after 4 years of his administration in 2019, I decided to jump back into the fray. So I did run for the presidency under the flag of the United Democratic Party. We did quite well as far as campaigning and meeting the people, but Nigeria eventually defeated us. By way of occupation, I am a broadcaster also. I have an online television station and that broadcasts locally here in Houston called the African Movies, Entertainment and News Television. And we will be on Roku and Fire TV beginning in November, like in about a week. I also just formed an organization called the Global Investment and Asset Management Council. The idea behind that is to encourage Nigerians in the diaspora to invest in Nigeria. I think that is the next level that we need to be now, is we need to invest in our country. When the foreigners invest in our country, they come to take away our resources. When we invest in our country, we use our resources to develop our country. That is what needs to be fixed as quickly as possible if we're going to put this country at the level that it belongs. So that's about it. I'm married. I have lots of children and lots of grandchildren, and went to school in Houston. And I'm glad to be here. And thank you very much for inviting me, Quinn.
Thank you so much for that brief introduction. I love when you say when we invest in our country, we use the resources to rebuild our country, and that is the new era that is going to be coming. Do you ever think we're going to see that?
Oh, absolutely. We are going to see that. We would have seen that. I was putting together a group of Nigerians, and we are still on hold because of COVID. Our agenda this time around, before even this protest started, was to take an idea that we call the enterprise zone. We want to make an enterprise zone in every local government in Nigeria. The idea behind the enterprise zone is to make sure that we have housing units, affordable housing units for the community. We want to have companies like factories that are production factories inside at least one community, distribution centers, healthcare centers, and rural electrification. We also want to try to provide local security in these areas. So when we take an enterprise zone and develop it to the standard that the rest of the world experiences, then we can go from there and expand into the states. That was what we wanted to do, and we are ready to do it. The moment that we are able to move freely, COVID has really cost us a lot of setback, but it's not going to be forever. The moment we are able to start moving in and out of Nigeria now, you will see a lot of movement from the diaspora. We've been working in the background, and by the grace of Almighty God, we will be able to put it all together.
Working in the background is a very interesting one, because I personally don't believe that Nigeria is ready to receive the diasporans. We had a meeting with some of the leaders in the community out here in the diaspora last weekend, and some of the challenges were exactly what you spoke about. When you went home, you met the terrain not ready. What do you think that Nigeria as a country should do right now, and the people should be doing to prepare when the diasporans begin to go home to, take positions in leadership to be able to move this country forward?
Well, I personally don't think that we have earned the right to go home and take position in leadership. We cannot just disappear for 30, 40 years and then show our faces and say, oh, we want leadership. I am guilty of that. I made that mistake when I went back home in 2019 and said, look, I got the ideas, I got the ingredients to make this country move forward. If only you would just let me lead. Well, the idea is they don't know me. They don't know what I've done.
We're gonna get him back while his internet is rebooting. Nina,
Yeah.
the point that he was talking about, do you think the diasporans are ready to go home and get involved in politics? Just to butter up what he's saying.
The Nigerians in the diaspora, thank you once again, Queen, for having me on the show. Nigerians in the diaspora go home on a constant basis. And we had a guest on a few days ago, and he made a very valid point. Nigerians from the diaspora send a lot of money. I believe he said pretty much at a point, the money is coming from the diaspora was more than the money, the revenue being earned from oil and gas. So if our money is good enough for back home, why aren't we good enough for back home? However,
that's a good point.
If our money is good enough, I don't understand why we are not good enough to be back home. All this, Nigerians in the diaspora and segregating and saying, I think it is because we want to see our country do well. We mean, and like when after you've been out for a while, you see electricity, you see roads, you see what it means for good governance and to be able to hold leaders accountable, and when you see all this, you want all this back home. Now, how do you transfer it back home? Mr. Ishola just talked about the enterprise right now, building a bubble and I'm thinking, is it to just go and build those bubbles, where you have a factory zone, or is it to just take one whole beautiful place and then other people will be looking from the outside and say, and then it becomes a target where people want to go and and pilfer and steal, and or is it that we all grow all together gradually? Maybe we say, okay, let's deal with electricity, which is what I have always thought the government should do. Deal with everything piecemeal and deal with it for everybody. Like if any government that comes into power says, hey, look, I'm going to focus on power. Focus on power and give power to everybody. I really thought the Buhari government was going to focus on power. So I'm a little disappointed that they haven't, solved the electricity problem that we have in Nigeria.
Welcome, sir. Sorry about that disconnect, but we were patiently waiting for you. So.
Thank you very much. I cannot tell you what happened. That's okay. I was talking and I'm like, what happened? I'm actually connecting through my phone now. I hope it works because my laptop just acted up.
Oh, so, no.
That's okay. That's okay. Please go ahead. You were talking about the fact that the diasporans disappeared for a long time and now they cannot just show up in Nigeria, say they want power. So please go ahead.
Well, I'm not saying they cannot just show up, but there are things we need to do first.
Okay.
And one of the things we need to do is to do something to let them know that we mean business also. We have to invest in them. Honestly,
what do you mean?
We have to invest in our youth.
Okay.
We have to create jobs for them. We have to create opportunity for growth for them. Okay. There are elderlies. There are people in my age group. I thank God. I mean, I'm pre-independence, but at least I'm still hale and healthy. Keep our fingers crossed and knock on wood. But there are people that I see in Nigeria that are elderly. I mean, what do you want them to do? If you're born before 1960, you probably don't have any sound education. And if you are alive today, you don't have a means of livelihood. And if you're in your 80s, you probably have children that are diseased also, that are like late. So who is taking care of these people? Whose responsibility is that? We need a social welfare service that can take care of the people. Just sending money to Nigeria so they can use it to buy petroleum or diesel for generators so the money can come back to America. It's really atrocious. It's not a good way of living. And that's what we've been doing for 60 years. The time has come for us to take that money and invest it in an agro-based economy. We don't need to be seeing ships coming in from China or from India or from America to bring food to Africa. It should be the other way around. It should be the other way around. So we have to let these people know that we have ideas. And these ideas are pragmatic. Not only are they pragmatic, they are what we need to make Nigeria, to catapult us into the giants of the world's economy. So that is why we are trying to do that now. We hope it's not too late because we were thinking ahead, but then the demonstrations and the protests came, and now we have to rethink our approach because the kids have taken over now. We have to cater to them now. We have to listen to their directions now. They've shown their strength, and we've got to find a way to negotiate what we call how to partner with them to move Nigeria forward.
Nina, you can jump in at any point that you want to. Going back to 1966, we all know what happened. For the ones that are younger, over 3 million souls were slaughtered even before they started the war. There was a problem. The question is, do you think that Nigeria is facing a repeat of such incident at this point if things are not taken into control immediately?
Well, I hope not. I hope not. We must preserve our democracy. I mean, we must preserve our democracy.
I agree.
There is nothing more beautiful in this world than a well-run democratic system. I was just having that conversation with my wife this morning. There's fun in democracy if it's done right. There are loopholes everywhere. It's a game. Politics is a game. It's like a soccer match. It's like a football game. The best offense will try to stop the best defense and vice versa. But you cannot cheat. and our players have been cheating all this time. That is why politics and democracy look so ugly. We cannot go back to internecine disagreements. No. Nigeria is beautiful because it is diverse. Honestly, when you look at countries that are monolithic and everything, they are looking to travel, to go and explore other areas, to go and see different countries, and we have it right there on under our noses. Do you know how many Caribbeans we have in the South? Do you know how many safaris we have in the Northwest?
Yeah.
How many Dubai we have in the North Central? Do you know how many hot springs and everything we have in the Southwest? I mean, this is a beautiful country with diverse cultures, and we just don't like to compete. Let me repeat that. We don't like to compete. And I might also say we don't like to take chances. We don't like to take, we are not risk takers. If we like to compete, we can compete from village to village. That's what we do when we play soccer. That's what we do when we play music. That's what we do when we wrestle. That's what we do when we go to track meets and all that stuff. We can compete to make our country better with ourselves. Do you understand what I'm saying? I can want to eat Ijaw food and say, no, the best Ijaw food can be found in this part of Lagos and this. I mean, that is the beauty of diversity. But we have abused it, and hopefully the youth are coming together now. They see themselves more like Nigerians, and they are not thinking of east, west, south, or north right now, and that's a good thing. I think it's more of the older generation that is. I'm sorry, some of us are intellectually lazy, and because of that, we think that breaking up something is a solution. You don't solve a problem by breaking it. You solve a problem by building. And those that don't want to build Nigeria the way it is, they can just step aside and let those of us that have ideas on how to do it step in. That's what I'll say.
Very interesting. So, so let me throw you right into the deep water.
Okay.
You are president today. What would you do with the IPOB, IPOB agitation? How would you handle them? Because we want to know from politicians, because people just keep saying, "Oh, just leave them be." They've been ignoring IPOB for a long time, and you know that this agitation has not gone down. It keeps on popping its head. So, sir, I'm going to throw you into the deep sea. What would you?
Did all these guys in Houston send you that question? Because that is
that's a good one.
That is the one topic that no matter how I try to avoid it,
I know
people drag me into it.
But it's a great question, though.
It's a great question. Oh yeah, fantastic question, which I'm not afraid to. I'm not going to run away from. I don't agree with the premise of IPOB. I do not, and I do not agree with the type of leadership that IPOB has. I see a huge difference between Indigo and the IPOBians. Huge difference. See, the problem of marginalization of the Igbos has to be explained to me in a way that isolates the Igbos as the only people having that problem in Nigeria. Because there is no problem that the Igbos can say they have that the Yorubas can't say they have the same problem. that the Kanuris and the Domas and the Galas cannot say they have the same problem. Look, the most badly operated, badly run state in Nigeria is Kogi State. And there's nobody that goes anywhere in Nigeria that doesn't go through Kogi State. They can see how bad that state is, yet nothing is done about it. Are those people sentenced to death? So IPOB, to me, is that the time for IPOB is not now.
Okay.
Everybody agrees that Nigeria is badly run. We agree that, right?
Yeah.
We agree that the government is not responsive to the people. We all agree that. We also agree that the government right now is skewed more towards the Fulanis. But we are not all Fulanis. Only one section of the country is Fulanis. I believe that until the country is run right, until the country is run with the principle of equality for all, equal rights for all, fair play and justice, when that day comes, and there are still problems with the Igbos, created not by the Igbos, but by other people, then we can start talking about Biafra. But until that day comes, I want to keep Nigeria one and keep Nigeria strong. Nigeria is big. Nigeria is strong. Nigeria is strong because it's big. When we cut ourselves into little, we're going to still have the same problems. Don't lie to yourself. The day we have Biafra, Nkwere people are going to say, no, Mbese should be the leader. We are going to go to that. Right now, let's embrace our diversity and let the best man win. We cannot be having quota system for everybody. I just found out now from the youth that I'm not qualified to run in 2023 because I'm over 50 years old.
No,
that's what the youth just said. You know? So
you are not 60.
I was gonna ask you that question, but since you brought it up earlier, let's talk about that. Do the youth have a point when they said that anyone above 50 they will not vote for? What is the sense in that? What are they trying to achieve?
I don't know. And I've said this a few times. The reason I've not really made any official statements until you called me for this interview about the situation in Nigeria right now is because I don't know what their end game is. I don't know what the end game for the youth is. What are they trying to achieve at the end of this whole movement? Are they trying to attend the presidency? Are they trying to attend the National Assembly or the Senate? What is the end game? Until we know the end game, we can't really offer any opinion for or against. But this I know. They cannot paint all old people with the same brush. That would be a mistake. Because there are still people like me that wishes the best for that country, means well for that country, will do anything to uplift everybody in that country if given a chance. And we should not be shut out of the conversation or the debate. Secondly, what is the difference of saying 50-year-olds and over cannot run? How is that different from APC and PDP saying only Northerners can run this time and only Southerners can run that time? You are still eliminating a big fraction of the society by coming up with that kind of rule. And we have things to offer you, okay? I think they also want 50% of all government to be youths. Well, you have to understand, 50% in government, but you've never helped anybody win any election. If you don't help Buhari win an election, why should he put you in his government? Because what the youth have been doing until now is, oh, our votes don't count, so we are not going to go vote. And they leave the room for the thugs to be in power. Sir. And finally, before you go, I know what you want to say. Finally, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Bola Amechi, Fashola, Badabi Amila, Saraki, Yaya Bello, These are all people that have been in government for the past 20 years that are just now 50 years old. So where does the youth now have the right to say that it's only a youth that can make Nigeria great, when all we've had, see, we have this habit of looking at the president and using the age of the president to cut across the whole administration and say they are old. Other than Buhari and his late chief of staff, you will hardly find anybody in government over the age of 65. They are all 50-something and younger, and they've all been in government since 1999. Fashola was Tinubu's chief of staff.
True.
Amiti was the speaker of Rivers State House before he was governor for 8 years, before he now minister for 6 years. Yahya Bello just turned 36 the first time he came into government, and he was in the house before then. So we have the youths have been running the country since 1999. You can't be using Obasanjo's age or Buhari's age. Use Yar'Adua's age and use Goodluck's age and tell me if the youth have not been in power.
So are you saying that the younger leaders have learned from the older leaders and have emulated them?
Well, you are only as good as where you apprentice. You can only be as good as where you apprentice. If you apprentice under Tinubu, what do you expect? If you apprentice under Saraki, what do you expect? Look at what is going on right now. There are the good youths, the law-abiding youths that are protesting. They call it peaceful protest. I never heard of that before. I think that's an oxymoron. If you have peaceful protests all the time, the government will not change. See, that is the truth. Governments don't change because of peaceful protest. Government change because of the hoodlums and the thugs. Because when they are afraid for the destruction and the damage and the carnage that the thugs will bring, that's when they effect change. But if they know that you're just going to come and say Kumbaya and praise the Lord, and then you go on the street and you go home and sleep at night, they don't have any incentive to do anything.
Yeah, right. Sir.
So we want to, I want to let you know that it is the same youth that are saying that we are too old. They are the same ones that are burning and looting and breaking down homes. They can say, oh, those are the bad ones. It's the same thing we are saying. The leaders that you don't want are the bad old people. There are some good old people too. You have to bring everybody together. Let's come together and fix the country. Don't rule out anybody.
So are you in support of the violence?
I'm not in support of the violence at all. I'm not in support of the violence, but the violence is an offshoot of the protest. Protest is protest. It's like we don't like what you're doing and we are telling you we don't like what you're doing. That's what a protest is. A demonstration would have been, okay, let me see, they've shown us their strength now. We know what these kids can do when they come out in numbers. Trust me, that is enough deterrence when they decide to protest. If they had demonstrated to show their strength for one day, bring everybody out for one day, let them see the millions of kids and go back into their homes. Trust me, there will be no violence, there will be no destruction, there will be no vandalism, and the government will be having meetings on how to avoid them breaking things in the next time they do. And they're still going to have a chance to do that. This time they've shown their strength. We hope that the strength is enough to serve as a deterrence and the government can do something so they don't have to come out and unleash their power on us.
So the thing is, the government expects the youth to trust them. They say, oh, we're working on the 5 for 5. We're working on your 12 for 12. But we don't see any, there's no goodwill being shown. Nothing stops the government from coming out with the camera and saying, oh, we heard this, you lost your son at the protest place. Oh, take this 5 million. Or we heard, coming out and saying, oh, we're going to increase the police salary, which is one of the demands by the youth. How can we build that trust? How does the government expect the young people to trust them when, it's all the same, more of the same? No now they are kind of attacking social media and saying social media, that people on social media were the ones promoting and saying. So how can the government and the youth trust each other?
If they decide to trust each other, they will be wrong, because they shouldn't trust each other.
Ooh.
Why shouldn't they trust each other? Let me explain to you. Number very one. This government, the government before it, going all the way back to 1966 under Aguiyi Ironsi, they cannot build anything. Yes, I'm saying it to you today. There is no government. This fight that these kids are fighting right now is a good fight. It's a needed fight. I have to give them credit. I did not think that it was going to be this easy to do, because I've been complaining forever that we shouldn't protest in Nigeria because they are not sophisticated. They will use live ammunition to suppress you, and nobody needs to die unnecessarily. I've been saying that, but these kids prove me wrong. They say we are willing to sacrifice, and for those that died in this protest, they should remain heroes forever. If we find a way to get all their names, I will prefer to put their faces and their names on our currency as opposed to all the people that we have there that have failed this country. This government and no government, they don't know what to do.
That's true. That's true.
I am telling you right now, and if any one of them can challenge me to tell me that they know what to do, then I am open to a debate. None of them in government, not from the president all the way down to the local government chairman at the smallest local government, they do not know what to do to solve the problems of Nigeria. They don't know the cause of the problem. They just made the problem there and they did nothing about it. And today, the problems have compounded. They don't know what to do. They can't solve the problems, and they are the problem. You see, you can't be looking for a solution from your problem. They are the problem that needs to be solved. And the youth needs to understand that the people in power are the problems that you need to solve. I can give you till the next 10 years with the same people in power, they will not solve a single problem. They cannot solve the problem. Now, on the side of the youths, which economy did they look at? Which trend did they look at before they demanded 500,000 naira a month for the police? Who in Nigeria? Look, I'm telling you, a doctor, a big surgeon in Nigeria doesn't even make 100,000 naira a month. And you want the police to earn 500,000 naira. And that's the same nonsense we did with the minimum wage. They wanted minimum wage at 30,000 naira instead of doubling the employment of the people at 18,000 naira. Because instead of giving 30,000 naira to one person that is fine with 20,000, why don't you employ double the amount for 18,000?
But sir, the thing is, 20,000 can barely buy anything now in Nigeria. The value of our currency is so devalued. 20,000 naira to train a child, to send the child to school, put food on the table, that can barely do anything for any family. So, I think that probably was their thinking when they are trying to go to 30,000 naira.
That thinking is wrong.
Minimum wage.
That thinking is wrong. That thinking is wrong because it's not the value of your money; it's what your money can buy.
That's pretty much the value of your currency.
Right. I saw a lady on YouTube today that was arrested by the police. That said she was going out to buy food for her family of four. She had 1,000 naira on her. Trust me, people know how to spend their money. You've got to bring down the price of things, not by ordering it, but by having competition. Do you know that we produced some rice and we were going to sell it for like 20,000 naira for a 50 kg bag, and we can't get anybody to market it? You know why? They said that the people in the market will say they are spoiling market for them. That is the people doing themselves in like that.
True.
all the principles that work everywhere, demand and supply and all that stuff, it doesn't operate in Nigeria, and it's because of lack of education at the right level. Do you understand? Now we have to go around and look to put up our own stores to sell that rice, and that's going to delay for another. I mean, we could have had the rice on the market before Christmas, but now we need warehouses to distribute them, and that's delaying the production and the distribution of that for the people. We can build houses that people can pay 10,000-15,000 naira a month for. So both couples working for 20,000 naira can live in a 2-bedroom house with their kids instead of living in a face me, I face you with 5 kids. There are things we can do differently to make Nigeria great.
I totally like the enterprise zone. That totally has me, like, I like that idea. I was talking about it with Queen just before you came back. And I would like to hear more about, how we can put those bubbles, maybe try out one in the outskirts of Lagos and then see how that runs. I would like to hear more about the
whole idea of the enterprise zone is to create suburbs, just like we have here and in Canada and everything. Go outside the major city, a couple of miles out, try to stay between a triangular area of major cities and create those suburbs there, so that the people that have the means to go and live in the suburbs with probably a slightly elevated rate because of all the facilities and amenities that they get, we can now redistribute that wealth down to the poor people. And ultimately, within a couple of years, those people will be able to be lifted up too, So look, let me just say this. Let the politician in me come out right now. I've just been talking as an analyst. The politician in me believes that we can make up the loss of the last 60 years in about 6 years or less, with the right people in government. With the right people in government, we know where they are. We know who they are. We know who is ready to partner with us to move Nigeria up. I have doctors calling me from New York. I have doctors calling me from California. Ishola, wish we could come and set up a cardiac center in Nigeria. Nigeria is a place where I would like to set up a research center. They are ready, but the corruption is keeping them away, and the cost of operating something like that is keeping them away. So we can make up 60 years in less than 6 years, but we got to start by getting rid of our problem.
I have a question from an audience here, and Anonymous, he said, what do you think is the best way to unify Nigeria for genuine democracy in 2023 and end all the rivalries in Nigeria?
The best way to unify Nigeria? Why do we need to unify Nigeria? Why do we have to unify Nigeria?
Well, there's a lot of division right now. The North is saying Buhari is their president. The West, the Yorubas, they have the Odua thing going. The East, they have the Biafran thing. And recently, they have rightfully divided the whole protest into a religion and ethnic problem. So clearly there is division. Clearly there is division in Nigeria. So I think that question is somewhat very, very valid, because
it's a valid question. It's a valid question, but what I don't understand is whose fault is it that there are Almajiris on the streets of the North? Is it the federal government or is it the Southern government? Okay, so these people that are willing to challenge a national leader for local issues, they are part of the problem too. Wow. That's what I was saying about, I see a difference between Indigo and IPOB. Where was IPOB during the 8 years of Rochas Okorocha? Where were they during the 3 years of Ngige, the 8 years of Obi? Where are they now in the years? Who are these people calling me? I'm on the phone. Oh. Sorry, people. Sorry. Can you still see me?
No problem.
Yes, we can.
This is crazy. I apologize.
That's okay.
No problem.
And they all know that I'm online now because I sent them invitation. Anyway,
they need you. They can't do without you, so it's okay.
Oh well, whatever. Can you go on? Can you take me off screen so I can get a charger for my phone real quick?
Absolutely. So, Nina, there are two things that he spoke about. One is, why should I put you in my cabinet when you did not contest with me to help me win? I would like to address that. And also, I love when he says, stop challenging national leaders for local problems. So, those are points you hold in your thoughts that we would be able to get back to talk about it.
Okay.
I'm back.
Welcome back, sir.
Thank you. So too
Go
much
ahead.
headroom, Abby. Okay.
That's perfect.
So my concern has always been, it is so much easier for us to challenge the central leader for everything. And that is sad. You know, that is sad because number one, the people are looking to Buhari for solution. The governors are looking to Buhari for solution. The senators are looking to Buhari for solution. The members of House of Rep are looking to Buhari for solution. The military is looking to Buhari for solution. The police, the customs, everybody is looking at Buhari for the solution. I want to know what type of government, what type of democracy are we running? Have you seen senators arguing on the floor using newspapers and asking Mr. President, we need to do this? Do they know that they are the lawmakers? Do they know that they are supposed to come to work the next morning and say, too much debt in this country, I have prepared a bill, I want all my colleagues to join me in presenting this bill, let's sign it and put it on the president's desk for approval. And if he doesn't approve it, we have enough votes to override his veto. Do they know that that is the way democracy works? Are these people aware of the system of government they are running? The president just decides, boom, we are going to change the price of oil to 45 naira, just like that, in a democracy. A governor just comes out and says, you must hire 1,000 people at every local government. In a democracy that has a local house of representatives and a state senate, these people are not running our democracy the way it should be run. They are not only dysfunctional, they are completely unconventional.
Wow.
Things need to be put on the right trajectory before we can say things are wrong. We need a president with a vision that our youth will have the innovation to take and jump with it and run with it. We need governors that can generate money in their localities. We don't need to spend more than 5% of our revenue on salaries in Nigeria. Nigeria right now spends 70% of our revenue on salaries. It should be 5%. And the rest should be spent on infrastructure and develop and encouraging people to go into business.
Thank you so much. There's another question here that says, our leaders are still blind to the truth that those who do not understand history are bound to repeat history, which is a saying. Do you think that our leaders need to be educated about the history of how Nigeria came to be? Will that be of any help?
Traditionally, history is codified information that cannot be changed. But in Nigeria, history is just a folk tale. You ask 300 people about the Civil War, which is the most consequential event in the history of that country, and you'll hear 300 different interpretations.
True.
So where are the historians?
That's so true.
Where are the historians? And the way we interpret history, we don't put the politics of history into consideration. Nigerians keep talking about 1914 amalgamation. They brought two different people together, 1914, 1914. That's like you getting married in 1970 and getting divorced in 1980, and then you marry a new wife in 1981. And people keep telling you shouldn't have been married in 1970. What's that got to do with the price of tea in China? Amalgamation was in 1914. Amalgamation preceded by independence in 1960. In 1960, our leaders all came together and said, yes, we want to be one. Regardless of what led to that decision, that was the decision that was made.
Mm-hmm.
So in 1960, we became a country. We didn't have to be called Nigeria. Our leaders decided, you know what? We will continue with the name Nigeria. It suits us because we're still in the Niger area. They could have given us a different name. So we have all this historical perspective that we use to explain our failures rather than use it to determine our progress. The things that are produced in the North cannot be produced in the South. We will still have to do business with them if we break up.
Absolutely.
Would I want to be paying excise tax in my own country just because I don't want to live with a man that I probably will never come across for 50 years of my life? What is all that about? You in Canada, I've not seen you in Houston, and we've talked.
Many times.
We don't. The Nigerians think that we cross each other every day and we deal with each other. We don't. Let everybody develop their own corner of Nigeria, and Nigeria will be great. We have a great country. We have great people in our country. We just make wrong decisions. We want to be united in everything that is bad. When there's a protest, we come together. When there's a demonstration, but when he says, oh, let's clean the streets, we won't come together.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to come together for good also, if we're going to come together to break things up. I applaud the youth for what they are doing, but I hope their end game is still a one Nigeria with liberty for all, where nobody is oppressed. You know, go back to that area where though tribe and tongue, maybe if in brotherhood we stand. That's what we want. We want to stand in brotherhood with each other. So let's hold each other's hands and lift Nigeria up. We can do it. It's not that big of a deal. We can do it. We just need to commit to it.
That's right. Let's read a comment from Her Empress Ebere Joseph Akunwa. Hope I'm pronouncing your last name well. He said, we need the enabling environment for the youths to be able to run with the innovative that you are talking about, sir. And then he went on to say, in a system like Nigeria that runs a multi-system government, local can't be talked about with nationals. I somewhat agree with that, but
can you give me that comment again, please?
You know, when you said that stop challenging the national leaders for local problems, I think that's where he's coming in and saying that in a system like Nigeria that runs a multi-system government, local can't be talked about with nationals. So he's agreeing with you.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. Thank you for that comment. My whole concept is that the entire system needs replacing, but not the type of government. We have the best type of government possible. I mean, the greatest country on earth operates under that government. Your country, Canada, operates under a hybrid of that system of government, still democratic. UK operates under that system, under that democratic system. So we have this understanding that this is a good system, but it's like asking a carpenter to come and build your pool. You know, we have a bunch of carpenters and we are asking them to come and build our swimming pool. We have to wait till they figure it out first before they know when to dig the hole or whatever. And that's what we don't have time for now. So we need to get a carpenter to do a carpenter's job and let a pool constructor, do the construction of a pool, and let's move the country. Let's start moving the country forward. As far as the central and everything, yes, blame it on the local because they collected their money. No government will tell you that they haven't collected their allocation. So why are they focusing on Buhari is my question.
Yeah. Thank you so much. One more question from the audience, and then we'll go into our own stuff and round up. Wow, it's 50 minutes already. So this question says, going back to discrimination, going by a discriminatory, call it hate statement against the Igbos weaved around the North First policy credited to Sir Ahmed Bello shortly after independence, would you call him a Nigerian nationalist or a regional rationalist?
Okay, Sir Ahmed Bello actually made that comment before independence. That's number one. Sir Ahmed Bello was the Sardauna of Sokoto. He was the head of the Northern Caliphate before independence. Why I will now say that a man that is the leader of the Northern region, advocating for his region, is a bad person, you're not going to get me to say that, regardless of what your nationalistic opinions are. If the Easterners have advocated for their East first in the East, because he wasn't saying Nigeria first in Lagos, I mean, Hausa first in Lagos. He wasn't saying Hausa first in Benin. He's saying in the North, a Northerner first. And if we don't have a Northerner, we bring in an expatriate. And if we don't have an expatriate, we bring in an Igbo on contract. Well, if everybody has applied that to their zones, then we will all have equality now. Because at some point we realize, okay, maybe we need to change this raggedy idea because it's not helping anybody. But we've been fighting that comment without doing anything to improve our own section. Look, man, I'm sorry to the Igbos watching this show tonight. I have already told you how bad Kogi is. I am a candidate that traveled. I went to 500 local governments during the campaign. I went everywhere. You know, I saw everything. I will be honest to say, if you are from Abia State and you think that Buhari is your problem, then you have a problem. Because that is a badly run state. If you are from Imo State and you think Buhari is your problem after 8 years of Rochas, and now that was imposed on you, and you just accepted it, then you have a problem. There are problems of the federal government, yes, but that affects everybody. And Buhari is a Fulani man, whether we like it or not. If he trusts Fulani more than you, there's a reason. You can't blame him. I don't like it, but when the Igbo man gets there, he can put as many Igbos there as he wants. I won't like it either, but I will understand that he's putting the people that he trusts most in government.
Can I jump in here, sir? I am from Abia State. I think Buhari is the problem. I think my state governor State? I think the governors too are the problem. Yes, I'm from Abia State, the beautiful state of Abia, up Abia. Sir,
well, however, is Abia State? Are we talking about the same state?
So is, why did we do away with the merit system?
What merit system has Abia State got to do with this?
No. I'll come. Like I said, my state governor is a problem. I said Buhari too is a problem. All of them are problems. And and this is where I will, differ and say, why don't, I think before we had a system where the monies were directly given to the local government, and then that way the people, you know, because when it's at the local government level, the people can actually reach their local, you know, government chairman and talk to them. But then I want to go back to the merit system and not insist that, oh, if it's an Igbo man or a Yoruba man that gets to power, he should now surround himself with. No, what should happen, in my opinion, is if you get into power, you should look for the most qualified people. For instance, we're in a pandemic right now, and the president did well to have Dr. Fauci run beside him to tell the people the right thing. You have to have people that understand and have been through the system and have grown in the system. You're not going to put someone that is like a farmer in a different, you know, that he doesn't understand, or someone that's my issue. You know, this continuously breaking down and saying if you're an Igbo person, you should pick all your Igbo people. No, I think we need to come to a place where we say a merit system where people have risen through the ranks and they have understood the issues and you have been in education. And so now you can now become the Minister of Education, because when they're talking about how education and how to better our education system, you are sound because you have been a teacher at this level, you have been a principal at that level, irrespective of where you come from. So I really, sir, with all due respect, we want to say it is time we stop this. Oh, your father is from this person, from this place. We have to now begin to say to ourselves, who is the best candidate that can run this agency? Who? I'm so proud. I'm so proud of Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala. Like, that makes me really proud. Not just because she's an Igbo, but because she's, first of all, she's a Nigerian. You know, and they're keeping her there because she knows her onions, sir. So we have to come to a place where we say, like, I hope and I believe that it doesn't matter where the person is from, even if you're from Sokoto, so long as you understand the issue, and you know. So that's just my little take.
I think that's what Mr. Ishola was saying when he said that you cannot take a carpenter to come build a pool.
Sure.
And you cannot take a pool person to. I think what he was trying to break down there was, a health minister should be someone that knows anything, if not everything,
about the health sector.
Okay, an education minister should be someone that is either a professor or somewhat that has something to education. Well, right now you have a health minister that is an agriculturalist or a filmmaker, you know, that knows nothing about if you have headache, what should you take? Just like taking bleach for coronavirus. Do you see what I'm saying?
But I want to correct something that Foxy just said, because everything that you said makes sense, except that's not the system we have.
Guys, we have 3 more minutes.
Okay.
And I have 2 more.
The system we have is this. The government employs the most people in Nigeria.
Yes.
The government is the largest employer in Nigeria.
Which is wrong for any growth of a country.
And if the government belongs to everybody, then everybody should be represented in the government. Everybody. So we can say, yes, we want meritocracy. That is in the private sector. That is for Dangote. That is for Otedola. Otedola will not say, okay, you can be the pilot of my airline because you are Hausa or you are Yoruba. It's because you're a good pilot. The private sector doesn't care where you come from. They just care if you can do the job. But the government cares about federal character. We put it in the Constitution and we insist on it. So if the man decides that, okay, I'm going to put one Hausa on top and 3 Igbos at the bottom, is the way the employment is set up. We need to understand what arguments we make and what leads to that argument, and see there are loopholes. That is the beauty of democracy. You take advantage of the loopholes to reach your own goal, like if you do it right without cheating. So if the government is going to be employing the most of the people, then everybody should be represented. And if you don't have a doctor to be the health minister, and you need a health minister from that state, according to the law, Then you put a native doctor.
Oh, child.
And people will be like, oh, an unqualified person. But the law says you must have one minister from all 36 states. That is the law.
So do we need to change,
the law must be respected. Huh?
So do we need to change that law?
We need to change everybody. We need to sweep everybody out in 2023. We need to have people that understand Constitution. Let's go back to 1979, or let's even take the American Constitution and copy everything that is good about it and change everything that we don't like about it, put our polygamy and everything in it, because we know we can't have a Nigeria without polygamy. So we can do that if we want to do that, but we can change Nigeria from tomorrow. Honestly, we can start tomorrow to start changing Nigeria. We need to create a parallel economy to the government, a parallel private economy. We can ignore the government from now till 2023 and build an economy on the side of the government run by the private sector. We can create jobs, improve our healthcare system, improve our transportation system. We can even build our railroads privately. There are so many things we can do in a private economy that is running parallel to the government. Let the corrupt people that want to be on the side of the government stay on their side. Don't even look at them anymore. When you stop saying Rankadede and Babake and Yowa to all these our leaders, they will die of heart attack because they can't live without that accolades.
You're right.
That is the only reason.
Yeah.
They're in government, so they can be hailed.
Awesome.
So they can be hailed. It's not because because we think they can do anything. They can't do anything for us. Honestly, they cannot do anything for us. They've not done it in 60 years. They're not going to do it now. Stop wasting your time. Let's start a new way of developing our country privately. I'm calling on every diaspora, invest in Nigeria. Even if it's $1, invest in Nigeria. Let's use that money to build enterprise zones in every local government, and let's see what happens to that country between now and 2023. By the time 2023 comes, we might not even need this system of government anymore. Everybody will be operating their own local government and they'll be happy with themselves.
Awesome. I'm going to take this last comment from this guy, then I'll let you give us your final words. He says, thank you, Queen. Okay. Oh, thank you too. That federal character and the entire constitution should be changed. Our constitution in itself, he wants to say, is discriminatory.
Yeah, that's what I just said. That's we cannot operate in a system and complain about a system that doesn't exist. Let's complain about the system that exists, and then we know whether we are right or wrong. This has been fun.
Awesome. I would just want you to give us your final words. Thank you so much for coming on the Queen Amina Show today. I'll let you take it away from here, sir.
Thank you very much, Queen, for inviting me. And those of you watching us from home, I really thank you for putting up with the last hour. We had a few technical glitches, but we are glad that we are able to finish this show on point. My position is very clear. Nigeria is being led by people that don't know how to solve our problems. I doubt they even know what creates the problem. So knowing how to solve it is a problem for them in the first place. To the youth, I applaud you, your gallantry, your steadfastness, your ability to plan this protest is very noteworthy. And I hope that you don't relent, that you keep moving on with one understanding that they can't solve your problem. So don't expect too much. To the diaspora, please, all I can say to you is this. If we invest in Nigeria, we can develop Nigeria for ourselves. A lot of us in the diaspora probably don't have retirement plans. We can have a retirement plan by investing in Nigeria and collecting interest rates for our natural life to live on whenever we decide to go back home. This could be done. I will send the information to our website, to Queen, to post on her page, so that anyone that wants to invest, like I said, even if it's $1 you want to invest, just put something together. Let's collect some money together and use it to start businesses inside Nigeria, use it to buy raw materials to produce stuff for Nigeria, and let's start building this country regardless of the government. The youth have given us cover now. Nobody can stop anybody with a good idea anymore, because if they do, the youth are ready to step in. That is the most beautiful thing that I have seen in all my life living on this earth as a Nigerian. The youth have given us cover now. If you have a good idea, you can present it, you can say anything that is positive, and the youth have given us cover. It is time now for us to prove to the youth that we can also, we got their back, as they say. Thank you. God bless you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Thank you so much, sir. You have a wonderful rest of your day.
I'm done, Queen.
Thank you, sir. Can you hear me? Thank you so much, sir. Can you hear me? Thank you. All right. That was very interesting. He made some great points, and I would love just to get back to those points briefly and make sure that, you know, our audience are clearly aware of what he was talking about. He made a point about, you know, I couldn't agree with him more. For a country that cries for justice, like our country, Nigeria, the least that the government could do is to not think of destroying to build, but build to keep. You know, he said you cannot build a country by destroying the country. I totally agree with that. He talked about how you cannot challenge the national leaders for local problems. That somewhat, for me, it's a little bit dicey, because if the local governments are not given the kind of power and resources to be able to govern their people, the citizens will keep crying for the national leaders. They'll keep blaming the national leaders as part of their problem, which I would agree with that. Then he talked about how you know, they're going to be planting enterprises in different zones in Nigeria. It's a beautiful idea, but is it achievable? Is the country prepared to accept such fantastic idea? It's another question that we would be asking ourselves. Then he spoke about, you know, the diasporans being gone away for so many years, wanting to come back now to say, I want to be a leader, I want to take position. And I love his humility, where he said he was at fault in that also, and I apologize that he should have gotten involved more. So Nena, do you think the diasporans need to go home, register to vote, register for parties, get involved more, speak up more, not just when it's a problem, like our guest said, that Nigerians love to get together when there's a problem, you know, but every day, make it a lifestyle. If you can go home once a year, which I know it's not easy because a lot of people are working here and it's expensive, right? So, but do you think that is a valid point on our closing note?
Thank you so much, Queen, for having me. Be sure to check out Foxy Mama 365 on YouTube. It's definitely a valid point for those of us in the diaspora to, as much as possible, go home, to be in touch. I registered to vote last year, so that's for me. I'm like, yes, I'm happy. Even all the way from here, I went and I struggled and I stood in line. It was a battle, but we stayed all till we got and I got it, and I was very happy about that. So if they can do that, they can do that. If they can go there, go home to vote, they can go home and vote. That is good. You know, it doesn't matter if people might say, oh, it might be little. Even just talking and what we're doing right now is still continuing to lend our voices and continue to shout, because we have children and we would love, I would love my children to also get that, you know, the culture, the values that we grew up with. So we just continue to speak and hope for the best for Nigeria.
Well, thank you so much again to all our viewers. Thank you for connecting. We've come to the end of our broadcast today, and just stay tuned on the Queen Amina Show with every so often bringing on Foxy Mama 365. Am I correct?
Yes, you are.
All right. So we'll see you guys same time tomorrow, 2 p.m. As always, keep smiling. Doesn't matter how bad it is. Keep loving, because love conquers it all, and keep watching the Queen Amina Show. Thank you guys all.